So I'm here at Intuit with Intuit's Vice President of Talent Acquisition, Nick Mailey. Nick, thanks for taking some time out of your schedule this morning to spend a little bit of time with me discussing talent and how a sport and business align itself with each other and look at the correlation between the two. So we've done a little bit of research on you and we know a lot about you, but I'd like you just to firstly introduce who you are and to give us a little bit about your role at Intuit.
Sure. Well, look, it's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me to participate in this today. So I've been in the recruiting business for 20 years and here at Intuit for 10. And as an organization, we hire about 10,000 people a year, and that's everything from contingent to full-time people, whether it be college or executive.
Okay, fantastic. Well, so this series of interviews is looking at the parallels between sport and business. I believe you have a love of sport. Tell us a little bit about your love of sport, where that's come from, and what lessons you might have learned from sport in your younger years that you've maybe brought into business.
Yeah, sure. So of course I grew up playing sport. I grew up playing both soccer and ice hockey as a young child, and I played soccer right through college and then played amateur soccer again in the States. So a little different from what folks do professionally here in the UK. For me, I think it was learning foundationally about how to be part of a team, how to learn about different strategies to beat different opponents that we had. And then over time, it's just working hard and continuing to improve, athletically in different areas. And I think you learn sort of discipline and resilience to overcome and continually get better. Yeah. So, and of course, it's there's this innate piece of just being competitive and wanting to win. I think that's always been sort of a part of me, and you take that, of course, into business.
Yeah. Well, we've been learning a lot about the environment here at Intuit over the last couple of months, and it's certainly a high-performing environment, without a doubt. So what do you think high performance means to you as a business leader here at Intuit, and how do you feel that the Intuit business environment allows your people to strive for that?
Yeah, sure. I think for us, and I think anyone you talk to, high performance is really about exceeding and or accelerating against business goals. But I think there are three critical components that you want to look at or ensure that you have in place. And for any organization or team, I think the first thing is ensuring that you've defined principles or specific objectives, things that you're really shooting for.
Yeah.
And I think that's key. It allows people to be empowered and understand, what goals are in place. The second, I think, most critical area is that you have a highly engaged team. And there are different components that are key there. First, you want an inclusive environment that allows for people with different ideas and backgrounds to kind of bring in and allow you to think about different problem solving opportunities that way, or think about problems differently, because you're bringing in diverse sort of thoughts, opinions, points of view. Mm-hmm. That's one component. The other is team that is like-minded and passionate, and for Intuit it's about, so we call it customer obsession, and really solving customer problems. That's another component of engagement, like-mindedness. And then there's this growth and development, people continuing to learn in role, which creates sort of that higher degree of engagement. And then I think the third piece that's important for high performance is continuous improvement in what you're delivering or how you're delivering particular result from business.
Okay. Well, that kind of leads me on to the next question, really. And behind us, we can see sort of the values of Intuit. Without going through all of them individually, What's the thought process behind putting all of those together, and why is that so important to the culture here at Intuit?
Yeah, sure. I think it does a number of things, but I think first it sets a framework, common language for the company. And so many companies talk about being value-based. We are, and so our values are the way in which we leverage them, the way we assess people's performance, we assess people in the way they come in, and it creates common language for us around how people are performing in different initiatives or jobs. And so it's become really powerful for us as a company. And so we have sort of the 3 B's and 3 We's. And so it's like we're passionate, we're bold, and decisive, but what we do together is that we learn fast, we win together, and we deliver awesome results for folks. And then again, it's sort of fabric of who we are organizationally, which also creates common language.
Yeah. Well, a lot of that and those values, they correlate really closely with the values that sportsmen and women have in their professional lives. And Intuit here now about to embark on a new pilot program, an athlete transition program. In terms of your own talent strategy, how does it fit into that, and where do you see the growth with that particular opportunity?
Sure. So at Intuit, we talk about powering prosperity around the world, and in small business, we think about backing small businesses to ultimately be more profitable. And I think that ACT is not different, and they're powering new opportunities for folks that strive for something better in their lives, a different situation, a job opportunity to learn and grow. And so I see it as a great partnership. When I thought about ACT, what came to mind immediately was this movie called Moneyball. And it was a story about a low-budget baseball team in Oakland trying to compete with bigger market teams like New York and Boston. And they redefine sort of how to find efficiencies in what is an inefficient market for ball players. And by doing that, they brought in players, they helped train them, and ultimately transformed their team, made them more competitive, and ultimately made them as competitive, if not more competitive, in the big market teams. Well, it's perhaps what we have with ACT is something fairly similar. You're creating a new pathway for top talent to get into the corporate world and develop. And I think in our world, where you have global expansion over the last 10 years, low unemployment, companies looking for top talent, ACT provides an equity program and a new pathway to get into the corporate world. And I think for us as companies, we find efficiency in the market, a new way, a new talent pool by which to tap into.
Fantastic. And you kind of identified some of the characteristics and traits that athletes possess and help them to reach the top of their particular field when they're sportsmen and women. They're very ambitious, they're target-driven. With that in mind, how do you think, or rather, what do you think athletes will bring to the Intuit environment, and how do you think they'll benefit the people in the team around them?
Well, I always start with, so excellence is not a skill so much as it's sort of a mindset. And what you see in athletes is this intrinsic sort of desire, they're just driven to excel. And there is also this sense of resilience and perseverance to get to a certain outcome and to win, if you will. And I think that's the kind of sort of passion and hard work that we look for in folks when addressing sort of the different problems that we have for our customers. And I believe that athletes can bring this sort of unique, if you will, sort of intrinsic sort of desire to excel and continue to improve to our company.
And with looking at those characteristics and traits and how they can benefit the environment here, where would you see athletes fitting into the Intuit jigsaw, so to speak, in terms of looking at their roles and what they could achieve, not just here in the UK, but possibly globally?
Yeah. I think that, quite frankly, any role is available for them depending on what their core capability is. And so long as you're continuing to learn, grow, improve, individual can come on, if they don't have a technical background, into a sales role or marketing role. They can continue to learn, move into something like a care or customer success role. I think that the world is their oyster. It's really about if they're applying themselves and wanting to learn different skills and capabilities in different areas.
Yeah.
And I would say that, you know, athletes are unique in that they've always had to sort of learn and adapt very quickly.
Yeah.
To different situations.
Yeah.
And so long as they're willing to apply themselves, that they can do that in corporate America and work in all kinds of different roles.
Great. And looking at the pilot project that you're partnering with ACT on, which is just about to launch, what advice would you give to athletes who are about to come into the environment?
I first would recommend know yourself. So know what's important to you, and out of a new opportunity, what do you want to learn and grow in? Also, part of knowing yourself is understanding what you're passionate about, because that will help sort of drive and fuel what you're focused on going forward. Intellectual curiosity and intellectual humility are the next two things. So curiosity, which is continuing to learn, grow. People characterize as sort of a growth mindset. Are you continuing to learn new things and challenge yourself? Intellectual humility is sort of questioning your assumptions. When presented with new information, are you willing to sort of adjust, if you will, and adapt to what's in front of you and sort of maybe change your approach to different things. And I think that's important as well in a really dynamic market like we have. It's important to understand the changes and then how you're adapting to them. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Look, I know you're a very busy man. Thank you very much for spending some time with us this morning and giving us a few words of wisdom and letting us into the Intuit environment. It's a pleasure being here with you this morning. Thanks very much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.